Alright, so let's take another look at the multiplication rule, and this time we're going to have more than two events, but it works the same way. Alright, so this is talking about ACL surgery. So it's called your anterior cruciate ligament, it's in your knee, ACL surgery. The probability that you will have a successful surgery is 95%. So they're asking, find the probability that 3 surgeries are successful. So that's another way of saying the probability is that the first is successful and the second and the third. Probability that all 3 succeed, and remember what and means, it means time. So the probability of the first is a success, okay, times the probability that the second is a success, times the probability that the third is a success. And well, what is the probability that any surgery is a success? It's 0.95. Okay, remember these are we're assuming these are independent events, and every single surgery has a 95% chance. So the second one is still going to have a 95%, and the third one is going to have a 95%. Remember, because there's a small chance that we might get a failure, right? If there's a 95 success rate, that means there's a 5% failure rate. The chance that your doctor is going to get 3 in a row successful, it's not going to be 95. It's going to be a little bit less, because maybe this is one of the ones that gets messed up. Okay, so if you multiply these numbers together, hopefully it makes sense to you why these are independent, right? It doesn't, the last one, I mean, you might say, well, maybe it is dependent. Maybe if he botches one, he's going to, be distraught when he goes into his next one and botch it. But we're assuming that hopefully it's not happening. He's independent. If you multiply those numbers together, you end up getting this number right here. So there is an 85.7% chance that he will get 3 surgeries in a row successful. Okay, we'd like to see it higher, but that's still a pretty good chance. I'd take my odds with that. Find the probability that none of them are successful. Well, let's just ask what's the probability that the first is non-successful, NS means non-successful, and the probability that the second is non-successful, and the probability, again we're using times, that the third is non-successful. Remember, we said the chance of success is 95%. So what is the chance of non-success? The chance of non-success would be whatever's left over, which is 5%. So each of these is going to be 0.05 times 0.05 times 0.05, whatever that turns out to be. And it turns out to be a pretty small number. I think it's this right here. Okay, so that is the chance. So that's actually a 0.0125% chance that none of them would be successful. If you have a doctor that's getting 95% right, the chance that he's going to get 3 in a row that all fail, I mean, it's practically 0. And you can see that right there. Alright, last problem. Find the probability that at least one. So this one's kind of tricky. Okay, for this one you have to use the complement, because it's not going to be, it would be a lot easier to use the complement. So here's what I want you to think of. Remember, complement means opposite. The complement of raining means not raining. The complement of Cubs winning the World Series is Cubs not winning the World Series. What is the complement of at least one? So at least one means maybe we get 1 successful, maybe we get 2, maybe we get 3. The complement of 1, 2, or 3, what's the opposite of 1, 2, or 3 surgery successful? The complement to that, the opposite of that would be none are successful. What's the opposite of at least one? And the answer is not at least one. In other words, none of them. So the probability of none of them being successful, well, I think we just found that on the prior page, right? We just found the chance that none of them are successful. It was this number right here. So here's what we can do. Remember that if we take 1 minus the probability of the event, we would get the probability of the complement. So we have this number right here. We know that the complement, the chance that none are successful, was that number we had on the prior page. Whatever this equals is going to be the probability that at least one is successful. And when you do that, when you put that number in, you can see you have an incredibly good chance that at least one of the 3 will work out. Okay, 99.9% when you round that. That's pretty good odds. I'd probably breathe easier if I were being operated on by that doctor.